Well, first of all, thank you guys for being here. Um, First of all, I'd like to extend a big thank you to our fans. Um, this is one of the best hockey markets in the world. Uh, Obviously, the best hockey market in the United States. We have fantastic fans. We get tons of support. Our building's full. The crowds are always into the games, and that means so much to the players and the management and coaches, and it just creates a great atmosphere. So thank you to our fantastic Wild fans. Thank you to the Wild employees on the hockey side, the business side that keeps this thing running, and the people at the X that make it happen every night for us. It's there's a lot going on game days, and we couldn't do it without the help of everybody that's involved. Even thanks to you guys, the media, for giving us the coverage that we need. And I'm serious. It's a big part of what goes on in the relationships between, you get to talk to this guy every night, but good relationships with our media is really important. We feel that we get treated fairly, and yeah, we do appreciate you. And thanks to Craig Leopold, our owner, and he gives us all the resources to do what we need to do. There's very, very rarely a no. I can't remember one, so it's great to have that support. And then our players, coaches, and staff. For me, this year, this was a year of incredible ups and downs. The start of our year, I would say the first, I don't even know, 30, 40 games, was excellent. Our start, we were a top 5, top 10 team at the worst for most of that segment of the season. Then we had to start dealing with a ton of adversity. The injuries were, hugely impactful. But, listen, I'm very proud of the players. I'm very proud of our coaches for dealing with the adversity the right way, for not letting the train get off the tracks and finding a way into the playoffs. That says a lot about the group, because the injuries were to significant players for a significant amount of time. And usually when you have that, things tend to fall apart, but they didn't. And we made the playoffs, which is great. It's better than not making it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not satisfied with the result. But I'm not disappointed in our players or our coaches. I thought they played incredibly well. They played hard. They did the right things. It just wasn't in the cards. But now moving forward, since I've been here, I believe this today and moving forward, this is without a doubt the best position that this team has been in, or this organization. We're going to have more flexibility than we've ever had here, in my tenure anyways. We have some young players that are going to come up and make an impact. And, guys like Buium, Juracek, Ogren, Urov, Wallstead, we've got guys pushing, that's just to name a few. But we're going to add. We're going to try to make this team better. Like I said, this is the first time that we've had real flexibility in a long, long time. And we're going to do our best to add to this team and to make it better and to keep building a championship caliber team for this market and our fans. So thanks for listening.
Phil, what did you think was the difference in the series between the two teams to ultimately decide it?
talking about like specific plays or like, I honestly, the timing of the, the game 4 overtime goal, the offsides were those were impactful plays. And, just not being able to get one of the overtimes. And I think when we were up 2-1 and not being able to get it to 3-1, but even so, like we were never out of a game. Like the only games that weren't 1-goal games were the ones that we won. I know the first game there was an empty netter, so I know you'll nitpick me on that, but in essence, it's a 1-goal game. So, John and I have talked at length about this, and there really isn't like a lot that we could say like we did poorly. I thought we played really well. We had a chance, and I think I know you guys listen to the players' comments. This year was different. There was more of a belief that we should win the series. We just didn't.
Bill, first of all, any changes with staff on either Iowa or Minnesota?
No.
Okay. You mentioned the impactful injuries, which is fair. And we've talked a lot about how a lot of these are broken bones, slew foots, like things you can't do about, shots in the groin.
Yeah.
But, this is 2 years in a row. I mean, how much will you delve into, what's causing at least some of the stuff with like Kirill and Eki and Rhodes and these guys? Like, is there a way to figure out a way to look at what's maybe causing some of it?
Not really. I don't think so, Mike, honestly. Like, and I know people say that, they're injured. All right, well then, maybe we'll have the guys stop blocking shots or training as hard as they do. Or, I don't know. Like, I just think it's been bad luck. This is a hard, fast game. You get injured. I think it's more impactful, though, because we haven't had the depth that hopefully we're going to create here coming up. Like when Eki gets hurt or Kirill gets hurt, it's more impactful because there's not another wave of those guys coming. You know what I mean? We couldn't deflect it. It's more important because we didn't have a ton of those guys. So yeah. But I just, look, we got great doctors. We got a great training staff. They take care of the players incredibly well. You just can't uninjure guys. And when you talk about like core injuries or, freaky ones like Zuki had, like, I mean, what are you going to do? We'll get Zuki a bigger cup.
Going back to the playoff series itself, Bill, I know it's hard to say that there was a step forward maybe being made when you're still not getting out of the first round, but it did have kind of that very different feeling than years past. Is that fair to say, or how would you kind of assess that, where it did seem that things were just very different for them this round?
Yeah, I don't think we got outplayed. I don't think we got outplayed. They got the 2 OT goals. And then, but like if you guys can think of a game where we got outplayed, let me know. I don't think we did. It's just we didn't get the timely goals. Well, we did, but it was offsides. So that was a tough situation. But I don't feel like we got outplayed, and I think that's the big difference. I think in some of the playoff series before, we may have been overmatched. Like we just maybe got outplayed and beat. But this one, I didn't feel like we got outplayed. We just didn't score, opportune goals.
Bill, you mentioned the flexibility you'll have this summer and wanting to add. What kind of players or skill sets do you want to add, and kind of what's the balance of, usually people overpay on July 1 just because of the nature of it. What's the balance being aggressive versus being smart in those kind of situations?
Yeah, July 1 can be a day of mistakes too. We don't want to do that, but we also don't want to miss out on opportunities to make our team better. I think our D core set. I'd like to focus on forwards. You talking about what type of players? I mean,
Scoring winger or this kind of thing, or like,
no, probably more at center position. I think Eki needs a little help. You know, he's in a battle every single night, and there's no easy nights for him. You know, so I think if we could create some help there, I wouldn't be opposed to a scoring winger either. But you know, we're gonna have to look and see who's available. Like, you know, when it comes to free agency, and then, you know, there's always possibilities of trades too. So, you know, we're gonna explore all that stuff.
Does anyone besides Erickson Ek need surgery, or just where are you at health-wise with players?
No, right now, we thought Brodeen might have, but he's doing better. He's actually going to play in the Worlds. All his things have been, yeah, he's fine. And then Gus, we're still kind of looking into him, but I don't know if he's really going to actually need it.
Gustafson.
Yeah, Gustafson. Yeah, sorry.
What is the full list of Worlds participants?
We have Brodeen, Johansson, Fleury, Spurgeon. I think that's it.
Bouillon.
Oh yeah, Bouillon
Bouillon.
and Spacho. Yeah, yeah.
Bill, just what are your expectations with Kirill this summer, and where you're at in that process and getting him re-signed?
My expectations are to get him signed. That's, I mean, yeah. That's it.
As far as what that process will look like, how difficult, or July 1 is, I see absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to get it done as soon as I can. Yeah, and you know, it's obviously everybody knows how important Kirill is to the team and to the organization, to the market. Like, you know, he's a star player. So yeah, I mean, that's priority number one.
Bill and John, you know, Marco was a huge talker during the playoffs. I mean, he played 75, 76 games in the top six, and then suddenly, you know, late in game one, he's on the fourth line. And then you had the complication of his free agency status this offseason. So where are you at with him?
Where's the complication in that?
Well, whether or not you're going to want to sign him long-term or mid-term, whether or not he's going to want to re-sign long-term, mid-term. You know,
It's not complicated.
Okay. So what, I guess, what happened with Marco? Like, how did it get to this point where he was the third lowest ice time in the playoffs?
Well, I think Hartsey played really well and was I think more than you look at it as. I'm not just saying you. A lot of people look at it as like a demotion. Ryan Hartman played really well. Ryan Hartman had a great series. He was elevated. Then what do you do? We try to find the best line combos that we possibly can. You know what? You take a 60-point guy, you put him with two big guys that are playing really well, and we had a good line. You know, they had, what did we say? Trenny had couple points. Braz had a couple. Marco had 2 goals. He scored 2 goals on that line. So we're just trying to find the best combos for that night. We don't feel like Marco played poorly. Hartsey played really well and moved up the lineup, and that was the best possible combo that we thought Marco would be in, and he played well. He produced.
I guess along those lines, John, like Marco said, he had a good and like an honest meeting with you, an exit meeting. Like, what was your message to him, and is there kind of a path forward in your mind in terms of him earning the trust for you guys as the staff of getting back to the role he's accustomed or wants to play?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like every player, you have an honest conversation about, you know, whatever decisions you make, whatever, you know, they feel. I think whether it's an individual meeting in season or it's an exit meeting at the end of the year, I find a lot of value in those. I think there's, you know, we have relationships with, I believe, with our staff and the players that we can have honest conversations about how each player feels. Obviously, for Marco, he was a little bit disappointed, you know, that he didn't get as much ice time as he got in the regular season. But, you know, as far as a trust factor, like we played him a lot and trusted him a lot in the regular season, and it wasn't a situation where he came out of the lineup. I think, as Billy said, a playoff series is short, and sometimes it's matchups, sometimes it's how other guys are going, sometimes it's combos. I think there was a lot made out of it, understandably so, because he, played top 6 minutes for a majority of the season. Yet, in the series of short games, we made some decisions where he wasn't in that role. But that doesn't mean that we don't like him as a player. It doesn't mean that he didn't contribute to our team. I also believe, I think after we made the decision, I think I said with you guys, I believe Marco's going to make a difference in the series, regardless of what line he's on, and he did. So, to me, it's understanding each other's side, understanding the player side. For sure, he's not going to be, overly excited that his minutes dropped, but also having a conversation of why, what we did, and not that we didn't have that during the series as well. So I don't think it's in a like a huge issue with us. We have honest conversations, and we had it. We're in a good spot. He understands. I understand where he's coming, how he felt, and now you just move on. But it's not a situation where like we don't trust him or we don't like him. I mean, I think if you look at how much I played him and relied on him and have a relationship with him and put him in situations to succeed as well, some of it does come down to performance. Particularly in a game, in a playoff series, other guys' performance, as Billy said. And then you also look, okay, if he's not going to play in this role, well, who would he play with, best? What would give him the best opportunity? And in this particular series, Trenton and Braz were bigger bodies. They were physical. They were spending some time in the offensive zone when they played. And I think I said during the series, maybe add some scoring to the line, and lo and behold, they produced.
And this would be for either of you, but in particular to Yakov and Braz, it was very evident that they were those playoff type players that you had envisioned. How do you get Yakov maybe to have that more consistently throughout the season? I felt like in the playoffs it was this whole other level, and it was incredible to see, but didn't maybe see that quite as often during the regular season.
Yeah, I think, speaking from experience, it's hard sometimes when you come in on a big contract into a new team, and you want to earn your money, you want to produce and do all these things, and you can get away from your game. Like I said, because he wants to please, he wants to earn, show everybody that he's worth it, and sometimes you just get away from your game, and I think and then when you get away from your game, it's kind of a snowball effect. It's tough to get it back, but I think he got it back at the right time, because he was great for us in the playoffs. That's exactly what we need from him. He played fast. He was hard on the puck. He was physical. He made the skill play when he had the opportunity. So I think as we go along, he'll get more comfortable in what his expectations are and what we really truly need from him. And it is exactly what you said, like how he played in the playoffs. I mean, Heinze knows him best too. So
Yeah, I agree with what Billy said. I mean, we've talked about it through the year, and there was, I think, an adjustment period for him, and but the style of player, I would say, down the stretch and into the playoffs is the guy that we need, because he brings certain elements, to a team that are effective. It's just trying to help him and make sure we're on the same page starting in training camp, and then going into next year that's more consistent.
So Billy, back to Marco, where do you see this heading this offseason? I mean, you say that you want to upgrade the center position, whether it's free agency or trade. You have Urov coming. There seems to only be so many slots for him. I mean, could you foresee moving him in a month or so?
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, look, there's contract talks, or there's player movement for not just for Marco, for anybody. So I'm not going to try to predict the future and tell you, well, I see this or I see that. I'm going to have to go through the process and find out where it goes.
Do you see yourself bringing back any of the UFAs?
Possibly, yeah. Yep.
Bill, when we talked to Craig Leopold in the preseason, he talked about Kirill a little bit and said, he made this vow, he said, nobody's gonna offer Kirill more money or more time, more years than we will. You know, have you had those conversations with ownership, and does that maybe put a little more pressure on you that there's this vow that you won't get outspent on him?
No, I don't feel pressure of that. Nobody can offer him more than we can. So it's, you know, what Craig said is right, it's true. I'll just say that I'm very confident that we're gonna get a deal done with Kirill. I think he really loves this market and this team. I think he feels that we're going in the right direction. He's got a good relationship with John. He's got a good relationship with me. And it's just a matter of working through it.
Billy, you obviously gave up a lot for Juracek. How much do you have to find him a spot on the team next year? I mean, obviously he's got to earn it. But
Yeah.
at some point, I'm sure you want to see him on this team.
Yeah,
And
yeah, we
how
want
do-
to see
and
him
how do
on
you
this
grade
team,
that?
and well, he will create it, not me. I mean, yes, we'll have a spot, but how much he plays, or where he plays, or how high up the lineup he plays, situations, that's up to him. He's got to earn it. So, but we believe in him. Like he had a crazy year, but his attitude has been amazing. He's got a strong personality. He believes in himself. Like I said, we believe in him, and we're just looking forward to him getting healthy and getting back on track. I think he's going to spend some time here in this summer, which is fantastic because we've gotten good results when players do that. So we're excited that he's going to make that sacrifice.
Bill, just to circle back on Worlds real quick, are you going, and just wondering from like a Team USA standpoint, how much value you put in guys' performances at the tournament, and kind of with an eye toward Olympics?
I am going. I put a big emphasis on it. It's not necessarily how many goals you score or this or that or whatever. It's when are we going to win that tournament? We need to win that tournament soon. We need our best players going. Sidney Crosby and McKinnon are going. That should say something. Okay? It's the commitment from our players to go and try to win that tournament. Our team's good this year. We have a lot of good players that have gone. But it's not, and I hope it's not just because it's an Olympic year. I get it, that it is an Olympic year and it's more of a draw, but we need this more consistently from our players to go over and play and try to win that tournament.
Bill, I know this time last year we talked a little bit about Iowa. How would you kind of evaluate, Brett in the development program right now, and like how important is winning to development? I know there's a lot.
I think it's important, and you know what, Brett. But it is a development league, and with that being said, it's not just a development league for players. I think Brett's a young coach. He's still got a ton to learn. He's going through the process right now. We'd like to see them have a better year next year. But, yeah, it's always better to develop through winning. And it's tough. It's a good league, and with all the injuries that we had, we take their players. So it's a bit of a trickle-down effect, and that makes it really hard on those guys. Not just taking the players that we take, but it's hard to have the consistency. Like when you have all these moving parts coming in and out. I mean, he knows better than anybody. When we work together in Wilkes-Barre, you go through the same thing, and it's hard.
Bill, could you see yourself starting a negotiation with Gustafson this summer, or would you rather get through the season?
Yeah, I could see it.
And you mentioned Europe.
I don't rule anything out. It's not that I'm not trying to just give you a stupid answer. I just, yeah, definitely could.
In Europe, you expect him on the roster?
Yeah, I do.
The type of player and impact he could.
Yeah, I think he can have a big impact on us.
John, just Ogren, what did you see in the bits and pieces from the season, and did you see, that he could be an everyday player next season?
I thought Ogie had a good season in multiple ways. He came over and had a good training camp. Obviously, made the team out of camp. You can see his speed and his ability to compete. I think early in the year, in his first couple stints with us, he looked like a young guy. That had some serious NHL potential. But then he went down to Iowa and played well. Then every time he came back up with us, there was just more maturity to his game. I think that he could utilize his skating, his shot. You could see that at times here. I thought the attention to detail and the ability to play within structure, but also use your instincts, was better and better every time he was with us. There were times later in the year that we all talked, like maybe we should look at him more because his game is progressing. But we felt like if he wasn't ready for a top 6 role in the NHL, and to try to let him marinate a little bit more, in Iowa and play a big role, play big minutes, continue to get experience, continue to play it, over here in North America. And I thought he progressed in a right way. Now I think there's more maturity to him. He has a little bit more skin too, like he's been called up, sent down. He went through the process that most young players have to go through, handled it the right way every time, developed his game. So, he's a guy that we're expecting to come back, in next fall and push.
For either of you, after the suspension, Bill, we talked to you about Ryan Hartman. The 2 words that I recall you saying are best behavior. That was the expectation for him. What did you guys see from him in March and especially in April, as far as not only his composure, but physically? I mean, he looked like a different player, and then you talked a little bit about the playoffs.
That's the Ryan Hartman that we need. Played incredibly well. Stayed composed. Didn't give in to, the other team trying to push his buttons. He has that ability. We need him. We need him to be more like that than the guy that flies off the handle. He has that ability, and I think sometimes when he does that, he's frustrated with himself, and he just blows a gasket, which I get. But we need the playoff Ryan Hartman more than the other guy.
Excuse me. Circling back kind of on Iowa, what was the report on Jesper Valstad and his season, and how are you guys going to kind of handle him this offseason? What does he need to do to really come into camp ready, knowing the expectations that are on him?
Yeah, he wasn't the season that we all expected. He's going to be expected to be in Minnesota and spend some time here to make sure that he's in the best possible shape he can be. He's, for me, I believe in Wally. I know he's got the talent. He's got to fight a little harder, when things don't go his way. But I believe in the player. I believe in the person, and he's going to have to come in and earn a spot on the team, just like everybody else.
Billy, can I ask you, you mentioned at the beginning just sort of the shackles coming off is the way that I construed it, just as the best position that you've ever been in since you've been here. This is year 7 for you. I mean, for the year you said that we haven't been serious contenders. How much do you, one, feel a big sigh of relief that this is off, and 2, now how important is it for everybody, for you, for Craig, for the fan base, to see this organization take the next step and become perennial contenders that could be on par with the other really heavyweights in the West?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. Listen, it's still there's always a process involved, but the process sped up when you don't have the constraints that we've had. I mean, you know me now. I like to be aggressive. I don't want to. I don't want to sit on my hands at all, and I'm kind of tired of doing that. So I just want to make this. Since I walked through the door, my goal has been to build a championship caliber team for this market, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to sign any stupid contracts or anything like that, but I want to make this team better than it is today.
Have you been assured by Craig you can spend to the cap as it keeps on going forward, or?
No, Craig's very supportive. And you know what, as long as him and I have the conversations, he's usually pretty good about these things. I mean, he's never not, he's never put constraints on us. Like when I remember when I first got the job here, when I said it, there's everything here to win. And it starts with him. And he's always given us the support that we've needed.
Bill, as a manager, does that opportunity, are you more eager and excited for it, or is there pressure with it too, that you feel like this?
No, I get excited. I don't, not that I don't feel pressure, I do sometimes, but no, I'm more excited than anything. Like this is, it's been a long couple of years just dealing with this stuff. And like, honestly, just hearing about it, like that's just like, oh God, all right, we don't have to hear about it anymore, which is nice. Yeah, with that comes, higher expectations, but I like high expectations. I want high expectations. I'm not doing this job to kind of sit in the corner or anything. These are big jobs. These are important jobs. Like there's a lot of people out there that love the Minnesota Wild, and I'm trying to deliver something to them. We all are. We're trying to deliver that to them, and it's a lot, but I love it. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else, especially coaching.
With Fleury, Bill, do you see a role for him moving forward, and just what will those conversations be like? He mentioned he would want to talk to you and see what you thought, but
Conversations will probably be in some broken English from him, but no, listen. I will have a spot for him, and what that is, I'm not sure yet. We'll see what direction he wants to go in, but just like we did with Derek Stepan and doing with Alex Goligoski, these guys are finishing long careers. They need some time. They need some time to decompress and do some dad stuff and husband stuff and just kind of get acclimated a little bit to retirement, but kind of being able to dip their toe in because, when I went to work for Ray Shero, it's just there's no substitute for hard work, and you have to put the time in. You can't be on the outside and expect success. Like you gotta jump right in. So when these guys are ready, they'll do it. But yeah, there'll be something for Flower.
John, when it comes like the penalty kill, I know it made some progress on the stretch. You have new personnel there at Boldy, it's like that, some big kills in the playoffs. Also some big goals were given up there too. Like, what is kind of like the path forward with that in terms of anything you want to improve on next year, or how you want to maybe change things a little bit to give you that kind of progression from where it's been maybe in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think there's certainly things that I think were positive from it, and I think even if you take out, I think in game one of the playoffs, we had the goalie pulled, but it was a goal against, or like PK, right? I think it might have been fourth. The percentage would have went up on that. I think it would have been fourth in the playoffs to date. So I think there's some good things to it. There's also some components we have to continue to look at, like our face-offs. Like you look at different dynamics on the penalty kill. You know, we adjusted the systems 2 or 3 times in the season. We used the same penalty kill in the Four Nations that, you know, didn't give up a goal. So we like some of the structural things, but I think some of it comes down to a little bit of, you know, the personnel. Like you look at a guy like Boldy, he was excellent, you know, killing penalties, and we made some adjustments to some of the personnel. We made some adjustments to the system a little bit. I think there's some good things to build on from it. Face-offs is a huge one, though. That's one that we don't win many face-offs on the penalty kill. You're automatically starting, you know, the other 5 guys are automatically set up right away. You know, for example, I look at the regular season down the stretch and then in the playoffs. Another one in the playoffs, the goal was, I think the first one hurdle, you know, Bulldogs the center, and, you know, I think there were some things there that, talking with the players leaving, talking with the coaches now, it is going to, again, be an area of emphasis, but I think maybe opposed to last year, I feel like there's a foundation there that we found some footing at the end of the season that now we need to build on.